Hello and welcome to Movie Trailer Trash. We just saw the movie Searching.
That's right, baby. It's time for Movie Trailer Trash. Enjoy.
All right, everybody. Like Charlie said, we just saw the movie Searching. I'm Bethany, by the way.
I'm Charlie.
And
I just spilled my coffee.
And this is Movie Trailer Trash. For those of you who listen on a regular basis, you know we don't normally do reviews of movies. We talk about movies that are going to come out and what we think about them and if you should go see them. But
mostly because it's a lot easier.
No, that's because it's the whole concept of our podcast. However, this is kind of a special episode, and I'm excited about it because one of the writers of the movie Searching listened to our last podcast about Searching. So we did an episode, we talked about the trailer, what we thought of it, and he tweeted at us and said that it was the coolest analysis of Searching yet, and that we could count him in as a subscriber. And we told him thank you and that we couldn't wait to see it. And he said he was seriously looking forward to hearing our thoughts. So I'm excited, and I hope that he does listen if he's out there.
If he's out there?
You know,
where do you think he's hiding?
Well, he says he's subscribing, and we'll, of course, I'll probably tweet it at him.
Don't you think it's possible that he just ran away?
Anyway, I don't think we'll lose him, but I'll probably tweet it at him. We'll hashtag it and whatnot, but we decided why not? Let this be our first actual movie review. We've done some reviews.
What are we going to call it? Searching Revisited?
Perhaps. We've done some reviews.
Or Revisiting Searching?
You know what? By this point, we've already decided what to name it by the time they're listening to it.
Yeah, it's like time travel. It's
cool.
cool.
Oh, gosh. Anyway.
It's like Memento.
Okay. Calm down. So here's the thing. We're doing a review. This is our first review on our podcast. We've done reviews on our website, though, mttpodcast.com.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in other movies that we've talked about and you want to see what we think, there are several reviews up there, and we'll continue to do that. And maybe from time to time, whenever a writer hits us up and says, hey, you guys are awesome, we'll probably do a podcast review and kind of give them a special highlight and talk about their movie.
Yeah.
And,
So what we're going to do for this episode is that we're going to do the first part of it is going to be spoiler free. We're just going to talk about some stuff about the movie that we liked.
General stuff.
That, that we thought was interesting.
Did we guess the right score?
And then,
on Rotten Tomatoes?
And we'll give you plenty of notice. We will do a spoiler section where we go through our episode and we see what we got right, what we got wrong, what we were dumb about, what we were super smart about.
Super smart. And I think, we put in the description the link to our first episode if you'd like to refresh your memory.
Yeah, you can if you want.
We'll probably refresh your memory when we're doing
spoilers.
It
actually might be more fun to go back and listen to it after this.
Yeah.
Just to hear how naive we are.
Honestly, I thought it was kind of funny. I re-listened to it today just to kind of remind myself what we thought.
Because you love the sound of your own voice.
No.
Me too, though.
But I was really surprised. It was kind of cool going back because it was such a long time ago that we did this episode. So anyway, link is in the description if you want to hear that. If you've seen the movie, you'll definitely want to stay for the spoiler section because I think it's going to be really interesting to get into. I think it'll be fun. And this is a cool thing we've never done before. So I want to start off, Charlie, with our guesses for the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Okay, I don't remember mine.
Okay, so for new listeners out there, every episode we guess the Rotten Tomatoes score. What's it going to be, right? I guessed 89%, and Charlie guessed 83%.
Yes.
So I was closer.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop. But here's the thing. I think we both guessed really close considering. I mean, this was an independent film. So it probably had a much smaller budget than the average blockbuster, right? Yeah. And we also
I
knew
could look that up somewhere.
That it had kind of a found footage feel or a point of view feel with the special way it was filmed. And some people hate that. And I remember Charlie mentioned that. He said that he thinks some of the critics will hate that.
Yeah, but I was wrong.
You were wrong. And I think
you were wrong.
But I think there's a very specific reason for that. We can kind of explain that. But it got a 92%. So
audience gave it 89 as well. So it's not just like a critic thing.
So audience gave it what I expected.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
But I'm really excited for it because I think, at least from my point of view, I would have given it a really high score as an individual.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my own personal scale is basically bad, meh, good.
Yeah.
And awesome.
I thought it was awesome.
Those are the four rankings.
Yeah, we don't have like a percentage personally. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll, like, if I like the movie, sometimes I'll be like, I'd give it 75%.
So there you go. Maybe.
But if I love the movie, it's like always 100% for me. I have kind of a 75 to 100.
If we do more of these, We'll use that scale.
That scale?
Bad, meh, good, awesome.
So I say this one is awesome.
I say it was awesome as well.
And that's the thing that's kind of cool about it is if you listen to our original episode, several times at the end I was like, I hope it's awesome because I really want it to be awesome.
That's
so
one of the words that I say more often
than we realize.
No, just me specifically.
Do you think that's
I say the word awesome a lot.
But do you think that's a millennial thing that like in later years you'll realize that millennials say awesome?
I don't know. Probably.
I think so. I really do.
There's
but anyway,
that song from the Lego movie.
We're off topic though, but everything is awesome. But yeah, you know what's kind of cool is I was listening to our last podcast and I was like, this writer listened to us talk about his movie even though we went off on several tangents. Like that's cool of him. Way to stick in there.
Way to stick it out.
It's one of the things that's fun about us.
There's no way of knowing whether he listened to the whole thing or not.
Well, he listened to enough of it to think we were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
All right,
hopefully
so
he'll do the same.
You were closer, but we both guessed fairly high.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, honestly, one of the things I wanted to say coming away from the movie is that this trailer itself, whoever directed the trailer, was great.
Yeah.
They did a great job of telling you just enough to get you interested without giving away too much. And the more, like, when I went back and listened to it, I was like, wow, like, that was a good trailer.
Uh-huh.
It was a great trailer.
I think that in the trailer, so like, yeah, it was a really good trailer. They probably gave you the first like 20 to 30 minutes of the movie in the trailer of what was going on.
Well, I mean, they gave you a good idea of the point of the movie. How, you know,
in
like,
a perfect world, I would have
his
wanted
relationship with his daughter.
the
got
news
lost.
report where they're at the lake to not have been in the trailer. But before you see the
Fair
movie, I
enough.
don't really know when that is happening or what's going on.
Well, and that's the thing that's cool is like thinking back on it, there's some things in the trailer that I thought were going to be at totally different points in the movie.
Yeah.
So that's something we can talk about during spoilers. But so yeah, okay. The found footage thing. So we talked a lot about found footage movies, and Charlie kept pointing out that it's not technically found footage because found footage is like, oh, somebody just found this tape and this is what happened.
Well, the found footage thing is the fact is that it's happening in the past, whereas this movie is happening.
But when
currently.
we talk about found footage, or at least when we did on the other episode, we were talking about Chronicle a lot, and that's happening currently too.
No, that was all found. Like that wasn't from his point of view. He wasn't doing anything in real time there. That was all
we
stuff
were watching
that had
it.
been
When we were
compiled.
watching it, it was real time with him in the video in the mirror.
No, that
Yeah.
was found on the camera. So like this is him
okay,
looking
but
at
in
his own
fairness,
computer and his eyes are like
Yes,
scanning the computer.
But in fairness, though, it doesn't say that. It's not like somebody found the tape. It feels like you're watching it in real time from his point of view. From
but
Andrew's point of view.
it's always from a camera's point of view, whereas this one isn't.
This is always from a camera's point of view.
No.
Well, okay, you're saying his eyes are looking at the camera, but everything we're seeing, yes, it might be from his perspective, but it's through a camera. We don't see him just looking at his brother. We see him looking at
But we see him
footage
looking
of his
at
brother.
the screen at like Google and stuff.
Yes,
and the Messenger
and
things.
by the way, there are points where we don't even see him like through his eyes. Sometimes we see him in the video and not through his own eyes. So I'm just saying it's kind of complicated. Like I don't really have a term for it. It's not quite found footage, but we can say that everything is seen through a screen. Like you might be seeing it from his point of view through the screen, or you might be seeing it from somebody else looking at the screen, but it's always a recording of some sort, right?
No.
Well, okay, some of it is him searching things on Google.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like,
It all takes place on a screen.
Yes,
that's
like, I'm
being
saying
filmed.
every single thing, every single
We're
time
doing
you see...
such-
No,
We
listen,
got it.
Every single
We'll
time
get
you
there.
see people talking and moving,
Yes.
that's on a screen.
Yeesh.
Every single time. Sometimes it's on his screen because his FaceTime is up and it's happening right then, and you're just seeing it through the FaceTime. It's not being recorded, but you always see it on the screen is all I'm saying.
Yes. You never see
You never see him
Real
look into
life.
the mirror and see himself.
You never see
That's
real
not
life.
the thing. Yeah.
It's all through a screen.
So we had talked about this. We said basically we kind of debated, is it an okay way to make films? Do we like it? Do we not? And we came to the conclusion that, at least what I had said, and I think you agreed, was that all that matters about the movie is that it's well written and well acted.
Well, I say that about a lot of things.
Of course. Well,
the thing that it
those are
always
the two
comes
most
down
important
to
things.
is that I mean, even with other stuff, with music and other things like that, you can do whatever you want. It can be in any sort of way, any crazy way that you want it to be, as long as it's good. And if it's good, then it doesn't matter how you did it or what you did.
Yeah, but I mean, good is subjective. But
Well, yeah,
I mean,
I
obviously,
guess.
but I'm just saying, like, for a movie, the two most important things are the story and the acting. If it's a crappy story, it doesn't matter how well you act it. There's only so much you can do with a bad script. If it's a great script, but you're a terrible actor, you can destroy a good story. I think the reason this worked and the reason other movies like it work, and some of them don't, has everything to do with the script and the acting. And this had a great script. And the acting was so good. And I called that, by the way. I was like, I like John Cho. That's his name, right?
Yeah.
I like him and I like Deborah Messing. I was like, both of them are usually kind of smaller roles, kind of not the main character, except for in Harold and Kumar.
Well, and those
obviously.
are the only two people that got legitimate screen time. And even Deborah Messing wasn't really in it that much compared to John Cho.
Compared to him. And so, but I was saying it's cool because I went back and listened to it and I was like raving about how like I'm excited to see them in a lead role. And then after we saw the movie last night, I was like, wow, it was so cool to see them in a lead role. I'm glad they got to do
this
those
is one of those
parts.
movies where you see the two of them in them, and it's people who are very famous but don't, get like the big blockbuster
They're
movies
not
type
shiny
thing, even
famous.
though he was in Star Trek. But
Yes, but she didn't play the hot girl and he didn't play the hot guy. They weren't like pretty people.
this
They're
is the
real people.
This is probably the type of movie that is going to get the both of them a lot
More
of
roles.
work.
I hope so.
Because that's how good they were in it.
Well, yeah, afterwards I was saying like I really hope to see more of Deborah Messing and John Cho, but like Deborah Messing and Charlie's like I think she's doing good with her super famous hit TV show. Absolutely. That's great. But I'm like just for me, not for her sake. I just want to see more of her. I love her. So bravo on whoever casted this because seriously, what a cool way to choose actors that aren't like if they would have put Tom Cruise and Anna Kendrick in this or something like that, that would be a weird choice. But the point
That
is
would
if they
be a
would have
weird
chose
choice.
big name actors, I feel like it just wouldn't have been the same. Like I feel like because they aren't usually in the limelight, it made it feel a little bit more authentic. It felt like they were real people.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool. So before we go into spoilers, one of the other things we mentioned a lot in the trailer was just toward the end, I was talking about how Asian representation is kind of cool because a lot of times in films we get stereotyped Asian representation if we get it at all. And
Yeah.
very rarely, I said in the trailer, in the last podcast, I said, Charlie, seriously though, when is the last time you saw a movie with the lead character being Asian? And it took us a while to think of it. And when we finally thought of it, we were like, it was Jackie Chan.
Yeah, it's Jackie Chan.
And then in that movie, we complained that he wasn't the lead, that they made it look like he was the lead character and it was actually mostly Pierce Brosnan.
Yep.
And so the point that we were making is that it's kind of nice that he gets to be the lead character. And he really was. Like you said, he got the most screen time, John Cho. And anyway.
Well, and also that's the type of thing that we were talking about before. So we were talking about when we did Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
That Michael B. Jordan was saying that he's only going to go out for roles that aren't meant for a black man.
Yeah.
And
if
so,
it says like we need a black person for this role, he's like no.
and that's the thing about this one
because
is
they
that
bring
this,
their bias to
this
it.
role it is never mentioned and has nothing to do with them being Asian
Nothing.
in any
It's
sort
just
of way.
like I said.
There's one time where
he's a dad.
where they're making kimchi gumbo, and that is the only thing that he's
Well, yeah,
even
and-
remotely.
And
mentions
really, I
it.
mean, it's kind of like, well, duh, like people make food that
And,
they like. That that
actually,
wasn't too stereotyped, you know. It was
I heard
just a
earlier
thing.
today that it's rumored that since DC just decided to get rid of, or probably Henry Cavill decided, he's not going to be Superman anymore. And I heard that DC is interested in Michael B. Jordan as Superman.
Oh, weird.
Right?
Weird.
Imagine the uproar that would cause.
Weird, but you know what though? I mean, I don't care about like
I don't
what
think
he's never been black before. That doesn't bother me. But I don't know about his personality being right for that.
right.
Because he almost always plays a very arrogant
It's kind of a
person.
waste because he's so good at other stuff.
He always plays a charming, arrogant person, right?
That's the thing because Henry Cavill's really good at that too.
yeah.
Both in Mission Impossible and in Man from U.N.C.L.E.
That's
the
true.
two different types of that.
But Superman, what he should be is a lot more like Captain America. But let's not get into superheroes right now. I don't even know how that happened.
I was talking about Michael B. Jordan.
We always bring it there, though, somehow. But okay, so yes,
I like
you're right.
superheroes.
We've talked about representation a lot in our podcast and different episodes because it's important. And I think we're in this cool time where more and more people are making progress and saying like, hey, let's stop just hiring white people for everything, you know, and it's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
One thing I want to say to get back to the movie is that a lot of people who don't like the point of view type of movie, that a big complaint that they had is so every single call that is made to everyone has to be a FaceTime call so that you could always see the guy and make sure that blah blah blah. And that's not what happened.
Yeah.
He FaceTimes her so that you see
he does FaceTime her a couple times.
You
like
see
she FaceTimes him and
her in the trailer getting a FaceTime call, and that is one time. That's the only time he FaceTimes her.
And actually, I think he thought
through
about
the
just
entire
sending
thing.
a picture, and then he's like, you know what? No, I'm gonna FaceTime her. It was like kind of funny. He had like his reason for it.
Yeah. And she said when she called him, she said, "What's with the FaceTime, Dad?"
Yeah, like she was like, uh-oh. She's like, I'm in trouble, aren't I?
Right.
So like, yeah, I think we had assumed that it was gonna be like a thing between the two of
Right.
them. But I mean, it clearly was like not super unusual. He also FaceTimes his brother at one point, or his brother FaceTimes him.
Just
So, I mean,
just the one time
Yeah,
again.
so I mean,
think.
it's fine. They do show like regular phone calls and stuff too. So, but they show that through the computer. For some reason, this guy likes to do things on his computer.
No, I think it's connected. We aren't Apple people.
No, yeah.
And so I think it's connected. So like when you're getting a call that if you also have an iPhone that it shows up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that. I got a Samsung. Not a
Samsung.
sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Yet.
Not a sponsor.
Anyway. All right. So I think we're about to where we can go to spoilers. What do you think?
I think we can. I think that first of all, if you are going to turn it off now at the spoiler section, know that you should see this movie, that it's very good.
I agree.
And if you can go on a Tuesday evening, because we went and we basically got a private viewing.
We did. We got a private viewing. It was just the two of us. They started it 7 minutes early, and we were like, oh, it must just be us then.
Yeah, we
they
went.
Must have just been like, yeah, they're in there. They're done.
Basically, the minute after work was over is when our movie was scheduled for,
Yeah.
and so there was very few people. There was no one in there besides us.
We were in a smaller theater, but it was awesome because it was like private. It was like this big. It
was small, yeah, it was
but it
small.
felt big because it was just the two of us. And it was really cool. It was
Yeah.
a fun way to do it. So go see it. If you haven't seen it, we definitely both recommend it. And plus, if you see it, then you can come back and finish this episode and, hear what we have to say about it. And it's always fun to kind of see what other people think of a movie you saw, I think. I've had fun doing that in the past.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to our spoilers section. I
Spoiler,
haven't
spoiler,
recorded a thing for
spoiler.
it, but I might. We'll see. That's right, everyone. It's spoiler time. Pause the episode now if you don't want to hear spoilers. Oh, I'll wait. And here we go.
All right. Okay, so first, before we kind of really get into this, I made some notes as I was listening to it today. And I just have to say, I understand why the writer reached out to us.
Oh, wow.
Because we were brilliant.
Just really just going all in into the humble pie.
No, but for real, though.
Just getting the humble pie, eating all of it,
Listen.
and then throwing it up into the street.
I don't think that's how humble pie works. It's usually like people... When you eat humble pie, you're doing a bad job.
Yeah, that's the
I'm
throwing
saying
it. You're
we did an
throwing it
awesome
up.
Job.
You're throwing it
Oh,
up.
I'm like, screw that humble pie. I will not eat it.
You are.
Spit it in the street.
Yeah, you're spitting the humble pie
Listen,
into the
no,
road.
I'm not saying we're awesome all the time. I'm not saying we're perfect all the time. We've been very wrong before.
I'm just saying we're perfect this time.
But I'm just saying, like, going back through, I was like, oh my God, I was so right. Specifically me, Charlie.
Gosh.
No, you were right too. We had a lot of great points that we made. And I think the thing is, that's why it was such a good trailer, is that it gave me just enough that I guessed a lot of things correctly, but I wasn't sure. And then during the movie, I second guessed my thoughts because it did such a good job at kind of leading you astray and then leading you back to it. And so it was definitely a movie with twists and turns. So
What's the first thing you got
First
there?
thing I have is just that I said that the trailer kind of reminded me of Gone Girl. I said, something is not right. It's just not adding up. Like I was saying, there's just something weird about it. Like the trailer was talking about how, so she went missing. She didn't come back that night, but then it's like, well, she also took a bunch of money out of her account and she has a fake ID and something's just not adding up because I was like, and I even said like, even though we only saw a little bit of the like this was her growing up thing, I was like, it's funny because when they said that she took a bunch of money out of her account and had a fake idea, I was like, in your head, you're like, no, she wouldn't do that. And we had just seen like just moments in a trailer.
Yeah,
and
well,
so
like,
they did a great job with that,
we should say that
making you feel like you knew her.
very beginning of the movie, like the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, does a really good job of giving you their basically entire family history via a computer screen and almost no dialogue at all.
And they do that in the trailer as well, but just cut it down.
Very small amount.
But
of it, yeah.
but it's amazing how they did that. That's what I'm saying. They did a great job in the trailer and the movie. I kind of think of it as the first part of Up. Like think about the first part of Up, how it tells an entire story and everybody loves it and it's its own thing. That's how this was, and I love that. They kind of let you fall in love with this family.
This guy is obsessed with his computer, though.
Sure.
He is obsessed with it to the point, where
he got a computer, and that's one of the things that was interesting about the like perspective is that when he first got the computer, it was the old school like Windows 98, I think, and it had like the picture with the green hills on it, and it was funny because they did a really accurate job of showing what computers were like back then.
But we know people
how the
who
internet was
give
back
their
then.
Small child a username on stuff and whatever.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it was really realistic the way they did it, and they showed things progress. So like they show when he first gets a Facebook account, and actually I think she did, his daughter, when she first gets a Facebook account, and it shows it, and they looked like the old Facebook, which it's been so long that it's like startling to see, but you're like, oh yeah, that's what Facebook used to look like.
Yeah.
So they did a great job with that.
Which, by the way, they went to her point of view a couple times.
Sure. But it was still like on the computer.
But that's the only time. That's the only people that you get their point of view. They never go to anyone else.
Honestly, because actually, I think the entire movie is on his screen, on his computer screen.
No, he goes opens her computer,
her laptop.
At some
That's
point,
the thing. So when you see it from her point of view, though, it's on their computer screens. That's why.
One time it's on his work computer.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so anyway, the next point that I wrote down was, he says, I know my daughter, but how well does he know her? And I said, that's kind of the thing. Like we, in our little bit, thought like, no, she wouldn't do that. That doesn't seem like her. She wouldn't just run away. She cares about her dad. She's clearly close with him. They made us feel like we knew her, and we don't know crap. We're just outsiders. And I was like, but really, I think that's the point that the trailer was making and that eventually the movie made is, how well does he know her? And the point I made in the episode was, how well does anybody know anybody? What, like, who is Charlie when I'm not around? I don't know.
Talking a Southern accent.
But that's the point, though. I think it's that's part of what makes this movie kind of eerie and creepy is the thought that you can know somebody as well as a person can know them. You literally have watched them grow up. You know them better than probably anybody else, and you still don't really know what's in their head.
Right.
You can't. And it makes it kind of scary and creepy when you think about being a parent. We're not parents yet. That's a scary thought, and I think that's what makes this movie kind of compelling is that whole mystery. The mystery isn't just what happened to her. The mystery is, who is she? And
so let's get into the deep dive. So let me go through the whole thing real quick. Not the whole thing, but
go ahead.
She drives off with $2,500 that she has been saving because she's been
secretly skipping piano lessons.
Yeah, she's been skipping piano lessons, and her dad has been paying for it, $100 every week, and so she's got all this money.
A lot of money.
Took it all with her, and then she disappears. And all of the stuff that you find out, so like you find out that she doesn't have a lot of friends at school, and she, isn't taking piano lessons anymore. And at the time when you're finding all of these things out, especially the money thing, you think she's in some like serious bad stuff.
I don't know if I thought that. I just thought she was being a bitch. But
okay.
like for me though, because I was
like,
oh, she's taking the $100 every week.
When she's taking $100, yeah, that just seems like a bad kid thing to do. But then after she takes it all out at once, you think that like something
maybe
is
she got in trouble
happening.
Or something.
Yeah, and she's like a bad person, but all of it is very innocent and even good. Yeah. So like the final reason
to be a good person
is the final reason that she's taking all of that money out is that the person that she's been interacting with, she's trying to pay their hospital bills for them because they can't afford it. And so it's just like a really like nice,
She's sneaking around,
super
but she's
wholesome
being a
thing
nice
to do.
person.
And the
yeah.
reason that she's not going to piano lessons is because it reminds her of her mom, and she's not able to talk to her dad about it, so she's just been skipping it. And all of it is very like the opposite of everything you're assuming up until that
Sure.
point.
And I also think that another kind of small lesson in this, other than just we don't really know people, or, you know, there's only so much we can know. That's like a big theme, is like, how much do you know someone? But I think also kind of a big part of it is, even when you're sad and when something bad happens, you can't just pretend it didn't happen. It won't go away. Because that was kind of the thing. It was obvious at the very beginning. He said, "I'm proud of you." And then he almost typed, "and so is your mom." And then he deleted it and just said something else silly.
And also, you know what I think that a theme of this movie might be?
What?
Because they mention it a lot. So there's Deborah Messing says a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And you can read this as, you know, one of two ways. So she says a whole bunch, it's not your fault. None of this is your fault or anything.
Of course.
And
of
you
course
can
it's
obviously read that as it's Deborah Messing's fault, because
Yeah.
it was. But
she feels guilty because he thinks it's his fault, and it's definitely not.
But I think a theme of the movie in general is that these people's kids, the stuff that they have been doing and the reasons that they've been doing it are partially their parents' fault. Now,
Sure, like
one of them
you're-
is Deborah Messing being evil and insane.
Yeah, so maybe
And
when she's
the-
saying it's not your fault, she's thinking to herself, it's not mine either.
Right.
It is.
And the other
It
one
is.
is he can't and won't talk to his daughter about
Yeah.
about her mom,
this big thing that she needs
and
to be able to talk
it's
to her
causing
dad about.
her to lose all of her friends.
Yeah.
It's causing
She's
her
sad,
to
she's
not do
lonely.
things that she likes anymore.
She's getting high with her uncle.
And
secretly.
so, like, you know, I think that part of it is
She's not coping, and neither is he. Not properly.
You know, none of it is very circumstantial into the
Mhm.
plot of the movie, but I think that a theme of it is that you are responsible for some of the stuff that's
You're
happening as a
somewhat
parent.
responsible, but also I think another theme is you can't just fix their problems for them. You have to help them to learn. So that's the big flaw with Deborah Messing. So first of all, another kudos for me is I was right. I said I don't know if I can trust Deborah Messing. But it's crazy.
You'd
In
be
the
a
trailer,
great sports broadcaster.
Whatever. But the thing is, in the trailer,
I've been saying it all year. He's
Listen.
gonna be amazing.
in the trailer, they didn't show a ton of her. They showed her talking to him, and she was kind of being intense with him, like a couple of times. And I was just like, I can't tell if she's just a good detective or if there's something sinister about her. Like, I don't know if we can trust
Well,
her.
because she's very just stoic and very like
And intense, but
very
that's her
super
job.
cop like. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like yeah, we'll
take care of this. I
is all
promise we're-
business all the
yeah.
time and everything.
But the crazy thing is that they were able to show me in the trailer whatever they did. I don't know exactly what it was that gave me a hint that she might be not trustworthy. And then the best part is halfway through the movie, I was like, oh man, I was way off.
Yeah.
Because they did a great job of, even though they put the doubt in my mind, by the time we got halfway through the movie, my doubt was completely gone. I was like, oh no, she's just an awesome person.
So yeah,
They
if,
did a
if you
good
happen to
job.
be listening to this section without watching the movie, first of all, stop.
How dare you?
Second of all,
We told you to stop.
Deborah Messing, the detective, is covering up what she thinks to be a murder that her son committed
Mm-hmm.
because he was obsessed with this girl and kind of stalked her online in various ways.
She was running away.
She was
He
running
pushed
away.
her.
He pushed her down a ravine. And
On accident,
Deborah Messing
supposedly.
came to her son's side and started covering
She
everything
wanted
up.
to save him.
Um,
And that's not okay, Deborah.
yes, exactly.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is you can't just fix his problem. She wanted to just make it go away, but that's not what you do. A good parent teaches them that when somebody's hurt, you call for help. You don't cover it up and hope it goes away. Like, that's sad,
right. And so,
which I think they show. It's definitely very sad.
yeah, she volunteered for the investigation, and she did all this stuff to cover it up. Went even to a point where she drugged up an ex-con and had him commit suicide
That's
in a
crazy.
confession tape.
That's the craziest thing, man. that
And
she did.
Throughout this whole thing, you're thinking, you know, like you said, that she's the good cop and whatever, and it basically dawns on you very near the end. And after the movie was over, I was thinking, like, we should have known that she was bad the whole time, because he was never considered a suspect.
Yeah.
And that would
We
be
talked about
that
that,
would
yeah.
be like
Your daughter goes
bad
missing,
police work, and
you
so
don't consider the dad a suspect.
but everything
Of
that
course you do.
like his acting as the concerned father
Yeah.
and her as being
A concerned
the
police
detective and
officer,
everything.
yeah.
You don't think about it until the
They
very
both
end.
are
You're just
so
like, oh, duh.
believable.
Like, why wouldn't she even ask him where he was that night?
Well, I mean, he did tell her everything, I think. He told her his timeline. But yeah, she didn't like double check it.
She's like just allowing him to work in the investigation, basically, and
Yeah.
just like all of this stuff, and just so that she can stay in control of the investigation.
Well, she did say like the professionals will take care of the actual searching and whatnot. But if you know anything, if you can tell us anything about her, it'll help. She wanted to make him feel like he was doing something. She wanted to make him feel good because that's the thing that I think is clear. And I think it would be so interesting to watch it again. And I saw something, I think the searching movie on Twitter posted something
Yeah.
that was like, go back again to see Easter eggs. I'm sure there's lots of hints throughout.
Yeah, probably.
But I think one of the main hints that you think of afterwards is like the fact that she clearly felt guilty. Like once you know it was her, she felt so guilty. She was so concerned. She was always reminding him, this isn't your fault. I'm really sorry. She was crying, and I feel like she was emotional. She knows what she did is wrong, but she feels like somehow justified, just like a lot of twisted minds. A lot of people do bad things for what they think are good reasons. She loves her son. We can't deny that. But she basically allowed a kid to die. What she thinks. She's
right.
They say at the end, he asks her, so is she really dead? And she's like, or did she really die when she fell? And she said, if she didn't, after 5 days without water, she'd be dead. Like, that's so cruel that you knew that there was a chance she was alive and you didn't do everything you could to save her.
And so like
you're a cruel person.
You're
can
watching the movie,
justify it, but
and
you're wrong.
I'm going to pat myself on the back
Do
because we talked about this after the movie was over. Is I knew that, so as soon as there's a moment where he gets suspicious because he sees a photo of someone that is the person that was kind of stalking her online. More of a
Fish
friend.
and chips.
More of a friend, but he was stalking her and using a fake name and everything.
Well, he was stalking her, but we thought at the time that it was just a friend. Fish
Right.
and chips.
And
I like that name.
and so that right when he finds that out, he calls the detective. When the detective doesn't answer, he calls the police department, and they give up information that she volunteered to be on this investigation. And as soon as that happened, you know that the detective is involved in some
that she's
in
doing
some way.
something wrong.
And as soon as that happened, I knew that it was her son.
Yeah, and I didn't. So good on you.
And the reason I knew that is because earlier on in the movie, she, to try and make John Cho's character feel better, tells him this story about how her son one time like went around to all their neighbors asking them to donate to a fake charity. And
For moms and dads in blue.
yeah, for a fake charity
What
that
a
he
jerk.
made up to just kind of like scam all of his neighbors out of $25 dollars each. And one of their neighbors came over really mad to the door and it was just like, I want my money back and all of this stuff. And Deborah Messing's character just pretended like the charity
She's
was
like,
real,
actually, no, I started that charity.
just to keep her son out of trouble.
Thanks for your donation. And
so
shut the door.
And so as soon as that happened,
It's
because
like, who does that?
because there's no reason like Deborah Messing would go kill some girl or something.
No.
And that wouldn't make sense for the type of movie it was either. It wasn't like a serial
Oh,
killer movie.
Yeah,
It
believe
was-
me, I was so confused. So you figured it out because you thought of that.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was so confused because when that happened, well, first of all, when I saw it was fish and chips, I was like, oh shiz, it was
the
fish
picture
and
of the
chips.
girl.
And then when he called and she was like, I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number. She was confused. And we found out she was a stock photo person. I was like, oh, so she was being catfished.
Stock photo person.
But I was like, so she was being catfished, right? She was. And so I was like, so who's catfishing her? I still didn't think Deborah. Then when we found out that she volunteered, that's when I was like, oh, crap. And in my head, what I was thinking is, so wait, I was really confused. I was like, so was Deborah Messing catfishing this girl and then decided to kill her and then put herself on the thing? Like, I thought it was some
Also,
weird, like you said, serial killer thing.
by the way-
some weird, creepy, wanting to kill a person thing.
And you can tell me I'm a liar and not believe me
What?
because I didn't tell this to you before, but when the confession tape came up, I recognized the guy from the earlier picture before they brought it
Right
back.
away?
Yeah.
I believe you. I didn't, but I believe you. That was great.
It really was. All of it was, yeah.
It was so good because, okay.
And I
once-
love how he's Googling the detective's name while he's on the phone with her.
Oh, yeah, because you would totally do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like half listening. He's like, uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Okay, sounds good. Like
Yeah.
he's just clearly. But here's the thing. So, yeah, once he realizes that she's somehow involved, he Googles her name again and goes through the first 3 links on the Google, and one of them was a photo of her with this ex-con.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, it's him. So then you know that she covered this up, but you don't know that she did it, and you don't know why. And I still did not realize it was her son. He was such a minor character. I mean, she talked about him, and a couple of times you see him in the background.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I get why you figured it out, and it's brilliant because obviously they were foreshadowing.
Right.
I think it was very obvious that they like
Yeah,
when
it
you look
wasn't a
back, you're like,
mistake.
well, yeah. I mean, sure, but I'm just saying they did a good job because that story is so bizarre. Like the average parent would be like, "I'm so sorry. I'll talk to him about it. Here's your $25
Right.
back." But at the same time, it didn't seem super harmful. So like he kind of laughed about it. She's like, "Don't tell anybody," you know, and. As a parent, I think he understood. Like it's like he wasn't like, wow, what an awful person. Because it's not that kind of awful.
Well, even if you did think that, you would still just laugh.
Well, sure. But I think to a certain extent, you're like, well, that's weird, but it's kind of cute. You know, what harm did it do? You don't have to always come down hard on your kids, is what
Right.
you're thinking. But at the same time, you got to teach them what's right and what's wrong. And she clearly cared. And there are parents like this, I think, in the world that care a lot more about their kid doing well technically than they do about doing good as a person. So like, you know, you'll see in shows and stuff where like the police chief will get his son off, like in Brooklyn. No, come on, don't make a face. In Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the like head of the police department or something tells them not to arrest his son. Like, no,
Right.
he's fine. He's a good boy. It's like, no, he's a bad boy
Well,
and needs to be arrested.
no, he's a bad boy.
But it's just like you're not doing him favors by constantly covering for him. He needs to learn how to be a good person. It's better to be a good person than a person who doesn't get in trouble.
Well, and
That's
to
the
be
thing.
fair,
There's a
those things
difference.
are usually like, you know, caught with booze when you're underage.
Sure, yeah,
Not
there's-
killing someone.
Well, but in fairness, though, too, this was an accident. And I know that it didn't sound, I'm sure that she was terrified for her son. I'm sure that she knows how harsh the legal system can be on people, especially when somebody dies, you know, and it was just you and her at night. I understand that she was worried about him. She still did the wrong thing. If you know
Yeah.
someone could be alive, you've got to do everything you can to help them, obviously. But wow, Deborah Messing, amazing. She did so good.
Yeah.
You can tell, like, she did such a good job of playing the part of a good detective that cares. And then also while simultaneously secretly knowing that she did something wrong while you didn't know it. She did a good job of convincing him that she cared. She did a good job of convincing us that she cared, but did it in such a way where when you look back, you can see the signs. That's so cool.
Yeah. So, I think we should wrap it up.
Wait, I have a couple more things. Actually, yeah, a couple more things.
Okay.
So one thing that I said was, I don't think I can trust, or I don't know if Deborah Messing is a good person.
In the old episode.
Yeah. And then I said, it kind of reminded me of Stranger Things, where it's like, we found his body. See, he's dead. And it was like, no, that's a stuffed animal version of him. Like, what? And I put in all caps on my notes, oh my gosh, I was spot on.
She was
It
never a
just
stuffed
like,
animal.
But it was just like Stranger Things, where like
There was no government conspiracies.
I mean, she was the conspiracy. But I'm just saying, it was
There was
just
no
like that, where it was like,
Demigorgon.
oops, your daughter's dead. I swear she's dead. It's like, you don't know what happened to her.
Right.
She's just down there waiting for someone to come save her, you psychopath.
Well, and the biggest the biggest part of this that messed with her investigation was,
Yes.
First of all, it becoming a big deal
Yeah,
in the
of course
media.
it's going to become a
And
big deal.
second, because she encouraged him to get involved in the investigation. And so he went out to that lake where
she didn't realize. It's funny. She didn't realize how far a father would go for his daughter, even though she was going this far for her son. Like, I don't think she really realized how smart he would be and how good of a detective he would be because he cared so much.
And one thing that I want to say that I think this movie kind of showed as a negative to technology
yeah, sure.
is that when someone dies in your life like that,
Yeah.
like early on, and, you know, or just ever, when you have all of these, you know, images and videos
Mhm.
and stuff like that just constantly in your eyesight,
Mm-hmm.
it's good
Yeah.
that
It's
you
a
get
nice
all those
reminder.
memories, but it's got to be so hard to even consider moving on when you just can just be in all of the memories all of the
and
time.
that's true, but I think that there's always been ways to
Because
not
there's
move on.
so there's that
Like-
moment where he's looking for the recipe and
Mhm.
he searches gumbo in his computer and it brings up a video of his wife and his daughter making the gumbo when she was little. And after he watches it, he doesn't delete it, but he says hide from search.
Yeah, because he doesn't want it coming up all
And
the
so
time.
like he doesn't want it coming up all the time, and there's probably like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds
He's like,
of
I
that
want to
type
be able
of
to
stuff.
search for the recipe without having to see her face.
He wants that type, like there's that type of things on his computer
Mhm.
at all times, and because like we said before, it's all connected, everything is connected all the time. It's
Yeah.
also on his phone, and it's also on his tablet
Mhm.
and laptop and work computer and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
It's got to be really hard.
I get that it's hard, but I do think that there's always unhealthy ways of coping and not moving on. So back in the days, I'm sure people would read letters. Like we've always communicated and left mementos of ourselves for people when we're gone. Like letters used to be a way bigger deal. And I think we just don't think about that. But I'm sure there are people, back in the 20s or whatever, who would just pour over old letters and read them again and again. And, it's hard to move on when somebody dies. So, but I see what you're saying. Technology definitely adds a new level to it. Another thing that I saw was, where was it? Oh, we were talking in the podcast about the trailer, about the app she was on. What was it called?
Ucast.
Ucast. And we were like, is this cast thing real? Are we being idiots? We were like, well, listeners, if it's real, please let us know, because
And
we're
no
not
one let
always
us know.
we're not always up
New.
up to date on it.
No one let us know.
No one let us know. No.
That doesn't sound right.
No one let us know.
No
That's-
one let us know.
Anyway, after this movie, once again, we were like, is that real? So we looked it up. It's not. It's just fictional.
I mean,
the
it
movie
didn't
made
come
it
up. It
Yeah,
might still be real.
I don't think so.
You never
I think
know.
we're pretty good at searching.
There might be something like
Hey,
it.
We're pretty good at searching.
Oh.
But here's the thing.
That's
I think,
the name of the movie.
I think the movie did an awesome job. I think that the way it used computers was really cool, because not only did they do the thing where Facebook looked old and all of that during the different times, but one of my favorite things they did is the screen went completely black and the screensaver came up. It was the old screensaver that most of us have probably seen, of the colors kind of dancing around. And when you're sitting in a theater, one that you pretty much have to yourself, by the way, we felt like kings and queens, I think. So anyway,
Kings and queens.
Yep. We had the theater to ourselves, and the screen goes black. So the room goes black, and then this screensaver comes up. And I was like, I whispered to Charlie, I was like, oh, cool. Like, it's just such a cool little thing, because yeah, your screensaver's gonna pop up at some point, right? And then, at one point he's asleep when she calls him, which by the way is really freaky when you look back on it, because she was calling him while she was running for her life.
Right.
And it's cool because she calls him at night. And he's sleeping. He sleeps through the first one. He sleeps through the second one. Those are just regular calls. Then he sleeps through the third one, which is a FaceTime call. And the whole time, that moment is so tense, because he's not going to wake up. He's going to miss it. Obviously, he has to, because we know she ends up missing. But at the same time, you're just like, answer the phone, wake up.
You know what I
because
thought,
you
by the
know
way?
that something is wrong. She clearly needs his help.
Because they show that in the trailer. They show
Yeah.
her
Mhm.
calling him when he's sleeping. I thought that was going to be like at the very, very end of the movie.
I thought it was going to be in the middle. That
No,
we
I
thought she was gone.
I
and
thought
then
that she was going to be
called.
gone the entire time. They were going to like rule her dead or whatever. And then at, like near the very end of the movie, he gets a FaceTime call from her, and then it's
that would have
while
been
he's
very
sleeping.
Gone Girl. That would have been very Gone
Yeah.
Girl if he would have done that. I'm glad he didn't. I think this was definitely unique and different. But
unique and different.
I do like that. I do like that I had compared it to Gone Girl in the trailer, and then when he's searching for stuff to see what other people are saying about his daughter's disappearance, some people are like, "Do you think she went all Gone Girl on him?" And so I was
Yeah.
like, "Ha ha!" Little things like that. But I mean, the movie was awesome. The acting was so great. John Cho was incredible. Like, I have gone on about Deborah a little bit, but John was awesome too. Like,
First name
you
basis
could just
now,
feel,
both of them.
Yep, you could just feel his pain, his fear. And I gotta say, did you ever get emotional during it? At any point, like,
yeah, at the
teary-eyed?
very beginning mostly.
Okay, so the moment that I started crying, I did cry during this movie, was when they were all searching for her in the woods. They just had the volunteers coming, and they were talking about how we're gonna search all day. The more volunteers, the better. And they were showing them walking through the woods, people who clearly don't know her that well, because we've learned that she has no friends. All these strangers came out to search, and they're all yelling her name, Margot was her name, right?
Uh-huh.
They're all yelling Margot, and I just started crying because I've seen that scene a million times on TV where they show in the news just like
Right.
that. But in this case, I felt like I knew her. I felt like I had the first person point of view. And all of a sudden I was thinking back to every single time I've seen people searching through the woods, and I can put myself in the shoes of the person who lost someone now. And it was like really emotional for me because I'm just like, wow, this happens to people. How sad. And then when he was talking to the cameras, he's like, can I just say something? And he looks at the cameras and he's like, the more people that showed up, the faster it went. So please, if you have any time tomorrow, we would really appreciate it if you show up. And he's just this like dad who is just lost and trying to find hope in a hopeless situation. And I was just crying at that point. I was just like, I could just feel his pain and kind of the beauty of people coming together for someone they don't know. And it's kind of like a reminder that even though Deborah Messing was a reminder that humanity can be terrible, I think it was a reminder also that humanity can be great and people can try and come together for a good cause. So I thought that was cool. And I thought it was weird. I was like, I'm getting emotional at a weird point.
Yep. All right, so let's give it the final thoughts. Obviously, It was very good.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they continue to make more movies.
Definitely.
Obviously, I will be interested if it's in the same style.
Sure,
But
but
I
even
would like to
something
see a different style as well, because like we said before,
They told a good story.
the best part about the movie is not the way that it was done. The best part about the movie is the story and the, how that
the
unfolded.
reveal was so good.
And so, that made it better, I think. It made it
Mhm.
more interesting, but that's not the
Mhm.
best part about it.
Yeah. That's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. So I think it's great too, obviously. I hope lots of people buy it when it comes out because we always got to support these
And
independent films.
that would help because I don't know how well it did in theaters.
I don't know either. It's kind of hard to know. I mean, we know my sister saw it. I don't know who else has seen it.
Right.
I know a couple friends who want to see it. So hopefully more people get out there and see it. All of you who are listening to this have probably seen it. So good on you. Tell your friends about it. Always share the good news when you see a good movie.
Yeah.
Always. But yeah, hopefully lots of people buy it because Charlie and I are always talking about how it's great to have another superhero movie and we love it. And if it's good, we have a fun time. But it's nice to have new stories that you've never even heard of before, because you never know what you're going to get. This could have gone so many ways and all of the ways would have been interesting, and yet they found a way to do it that I didn't expect. And
we talked about that before. Like, so with all of the superhero stories, with all the stuff that's based on books, with all of the
we have
things
an
that
idea
are
what's coming.
rebooted from TV shows or old movies
Yeah.
from before, even if they don't follow it word for word exactly from everything, we still basically know what's going to happen.
Exactly. And so always support these things, especially when they're good. We're lucky that this one was really good, and hopefully they'll write more. I think that the writer who tweeted at us recently said something about maybe they'd be working on more Winky Face. So I would love
Winky Face?
Yeah. So I would love to see
Whoa.
more from these writers. I would love to see more from Deborah Messing, more from John Cho. I'll support them in anything, man. They were
All right.
great.
Let's plug it up.
Plug it up. Okay, well, thank you guys for listening to this very special episode. Thanks again to the writers and the writer who reached out to us. We loved your movie. We really did. So bravo. Keep it up. And check us out at mttpodcast.com. That's where you can see all of our, blogs that we've written about movies. You can also hear all of our episodes. Find us on Facebook, Movie Trailer Trash Podcast, and we'll update you there all the time. MTT Podcast is our handle on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And please rate and review us on iTunes. That helps people to find us, and tell your friends about us.
And as always, go follow our friends Entertainment Buffet at Entertainment Buffet and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. Thank you for listening to Searching Revisited.
Yeah.
Revisiting Searching.
Okay. Thank you for listening to the special episode.
Winky Face.
Winky Face.